Welcome, everybody, to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as I talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, health freedom. And today's guest is going to be all about surviving, thriving, resiliency. I'm always on the lookout for innovators, leaders on the cutting edge, sharing those conversations with me. So today we have Kim Sorrelle, and she is an author. She's a speaker. She's survived so much. She's really strong and resilient. And she's also she's also the author of the book Cry Until You Laugh. And so we'll talk all about that today. I'll introduce her to the show and let her talk about her background and story. So Kim, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Christopher. It's so great to be here.
Yes, I know we had connected backstage. I know we have similarity. Your son is a medical student, UT Southwestern. And so tell us more about your story and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. First of all, I'm an entrepreneur as well. I started my first business right out of high school. So anything finance, I certainly am interested in. And what you're doing for doctors is amazing because it's almost like pro athletes that need somebody in their corner, right? And so that they don't retire broke from when they're done playing football. So it's good that you are there. I'm so grateful for that. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And then 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and passed away 6 weeks after that. When I was diagnosed, I started writing. It was therapeutic, for one thing. But also, I went to a bookstore and everything was either very medical or very depressing. And I thought, what does it feel like? Are there choices I have to make? I'd never been through it. I didn't know anyone who had, and I didn't know anything about it. And I just started writing so that I could be a help to other people. And then, of course, writing when my husband was diagnosed as well and through losing him. And so I wrote for about a year, and that is Crying Until You Laugh. That is hopefully helping people now.
Yeah, very inspiring story. I have personal story with my family members having been afflicted by breast cancer. And I think really when you especially with health, right, makes you appreciate life, your relationships, your family, brings to light so many things that are so important in today's world. First thing you said, and I love that you write, helps clarify your thoughts. Tell us that you talk about this 4-letter word that will rock your world. And so tell us about that.
Yeah, I thought that I had my life figured out. I was married and my husband and I had just become empty nesters and we were excited about it. You want kids to be independent. I love my kids, but it was okay for them to move out.
Yeah.
And so we were excited on this new path, this new phase of life. And then wham, we had cancer, and then losing him, I had to develop a whole new life, figure out life. I had to figure out everything. And one thing it made me do is question the true meaning of love. Everybody uses the word, right? But there's so many songs and so many books written about it and so much out there. But what is it really? It seems to be this mystery. And I wanted to make sure I was doing it right, doing life right. And so I decided I would devote a year to figuring out the true meaning of love. And I was in Haiti most of the time when I was doing it. And what I found out about love rocked my world, changed my life. Like things that were taught about love are not love. And there's so much more to love than what we know. And so that is that 4-letter word that we all need to know better.
Love, well, interesting. Yeah, and I agree. It's such a thrown around term and it's misused and people don't really know. Tell us the 5 shocking truths that you were never taught about love.
Well, one of the things about love is that I use this 2,000-year-old poem that you hear sometimes at weddings. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast. And I took one word a month to figure it out. And so one of the shocking things is that one of the phrases in there is love keeps no record of wrongs. And I thought, what does that possibly have to do with love? And what does that even mean? Because we might forgive people, but we don't forget the things that happened to us. And so when I was working on that one, I happened to be invited to Haiti to show people this water project I was working on. And so 8 men from the US went along. And then there were 2 men from Haiti that I invited along to translate and help with the water project. And it's something that they knew inside and out and were doing every day. And so we got out to where we were staying in this remote area, and it was just this little building with 2 rooms. And each room had 4 twin-size beds. But we brought 2 cots, and we brought an air mattress, so we had enough places to sleep, and there was some room in the rooms. So I thought, we'll just move things around, we'll be good. The head of the 8 men from the US pulled me aside, and he said, Kim, can I talk to you? And I'm like, and he said, did you see the rooms? And I'm thinking, buddy, there is nothing else to see. This was a small place. And then I thought, oh, he's going to think I want my own room. So I'm going to say, it's okay, I'll sleep outside. And then he'll say, oh no, if anybody should sleep inside, it should be you. And then I'll say, I don't care if there's other people in my room. And he'll say, oh good, because there's only so much space. So I said, it's okay, I'll sleep outside. And he said, oh good, because we've got men on this trip who would not be comfortable with a woman in the room. I'm thinking, what is that about? And so I had to figure it out. I looked around, there was a piece of plywood being held up by a couple wooden pieces. And I thought, if I sleep under that, at least I won't get wet if it rains. But I was scared to death because there are tarantulas and there are snakes and chupacabras, or I don't even know what is lurking in the bushes of Haiti. And I was so afraid that I would be dismembered or bitten. And did Haiti have the anti-venom? And we're out in the countryside. Can I get flown to Miami in time to save a wind? I didn't know what was going to happen. So the first night I went to bed, blew up the air mattress that held air for about an hour. And then I was sleeping on gravel. And it was so loud. There were dogs barking and horns honking. And then at 2 a.m., voodoo drums started. And then it went for quite some time. Finally, around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I was able to doze off. So the first night came and went, no problem. Second night, same thing, no air, I'm on gravel, the dogs, the horns, the voodoo drums. Finally, it's quiet enough to fall asleep. But I woke up because it was something on my leg.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid of whatever it could be. And I didn't want to jerk. I didn't want to move. And so I slowly lifted my head and I slowly opened my eyes. And it was a chicken. There was a dang chicken on my leg. And I didn't know whether to be mad because the chicken woke me up or happy that it wasn't something worse than a chicken.
Yeah.
Cute it away, whatever. The third night came and went without incident. The fourth night, same thing. I'm on gravel, the dogs, the horns, the voodoo drums, finally sleeping. And again, I woke up because there was something on my leg.
Man.
And again, I was scared to death. And again, I slowly lifted my head and slowly opened my eyes. And again, it was the dang chicken. And I still didn't know whether to be mad or happy about it. But that night we had chicken for dinner. So the fifth night came and went with no problem whatsoever, with no chicken. So at first I was angry. I was upset at these guys. But it was the month I was working on Love Keeps No Record of Wrongs and not being able to figure it out. And then it occurred to me, we forget the things that happen to us, but the narrative changes. The tone of the story changes. So instead of, oh my gosh, these rotten guys, which if I'm hanging on to it, they don't know I'm mad at them. So bitterness only hurts me. But instead of being bitter and angry the way I was at first, I thought the story then changes to, instead of these rotten guys doing this to me, to this is just a funny thing that happened. And now I could literally sleep anywhere in the world and be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's love that doesn't keep record of wrongs, which I think is an unknown part of love. And yeah, so there are more. So one thing is we say that love is a two-way street. We hear that a lot, right? Love is a two-way street.
Right.
But it's not. Love is a one-way street. If I give you money for a pair of jeans and you give me the jeans, that's a transaction.
Right.
If I give you love to get love in return, that's a transaction. And love is not a transaction. Love is completely up to you. We don't control anybody but ourselves. We have no control. As a mom, I can tell you, I had total control when I brought those babies home from the hospital. I decided when they ate and whatever, but as soon as they started crawling and the Tupperware was everywhere and pots and pans are banging, I realized I had lost all control and never got it back again. We don't control anybody but ourselves. And love you give no matter what. If you give it with expectation, then that's not love. Then you're doing something to get something. So love is not a transaction. Love is a one-way street. Yeah.
What's the third? Let's say a third shocking truth?
Yeah. So the third shocking truth is that love is patient. And I thought that meant if I showed patience, that would love, not honking my horn if I'm stuck in traffic, not getting mad because I'm ready to go, they're not ready to go or whatever. But then I figured out that love that is patient is not like that at all. I think you're supposed to love everybody. It's a happier life. It's a happier world. Just love everybody. And that when you do love whoever it is you're with, you recognize that this is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. This is the moment. And to be fully engaged and fully here for the person you love, the person that you're with, that is showing love that is patient. And that is something I had to practice and practice because it was so easy for me to talk to somebody, be thinking about a meeting I had later, be thinking about who has to get to soccer practice, whatever it was, and not be fully engaged. And when that happens to me, and maybe to other people, you hear what you think they're going to say. Because we make assumptions based on labels we put on people, or for whatever reason, or we've got a rebuttal ready, right? But when you stop and you really listen, you hear different things than you would. And you find out that you have a lot more in common than different. And when you really listen, it changes things. And when someone's listened to, they feel loved. If you've ever been in a conversation where the person's only half there, they're like, yeah, looking around or whatever, but you're thinking, why am I talking? I'm wasting my breath. But you talk to somebody who's engaged with you, who's really listening, you feel that love, man. It just feels so different. Yeah. So I'd love this patient. Yes.
What are the fourth and fifth ones, if you are?
Sure. So one is that love has no labels. If we're love to people, then labels shouldn't be part of our vocabulary. You are Christopher, I'm Kim, we're people, all walking on the same earth, all at the same level. And when we put labels on people, we make assumptions about them. And you hear people say, oh gosh, I do love everybody. I do. But those darn Democrats, or I love everybody, but those Republicans, then you don't love everybody. Because you put a label on somebody that you don't like the label, so you don't like the person. Yeah. But they're not. Hopefully, if you are a Republican, you are a Democrat, that's not your entire identity. That's just your political party. It's not who you are. It shouldn't be who you are. Hopefully, you're a little bit deeper than just a political party.
Yeah.
And so love has no labels. And take them away and just let people be who they're created to be. And it's okay to have different opinions. That's a good thing. If there was a world full of me, I would be bored, or I would be fighting all the time with myself, or I don't know what I'd be doing, but it's good. Different opinions are good, and listening and hearing different opinions is good. And yeah. And the fifth one I would say is that love is not an emotion like fear or excitement. We don't live in fear. Fortunately, we don't live in fear. It doesn't encompass us every moment of every day. You know, after we watch a scary movie, you're a little clanging in the night, whatever, you're going to be fearful. There's going to be some fear, but it'll go away. Or excitement. You're not just always excited all the time, right?
Right.
Those are emotions. Love is not an emotion. Love is universal and all encompassing. Love is who you are. Love is who you can be to other people. It is walking, talking, living, breathing. It's so much more than a Valentine card with a heart on it.
That's fascinating. I know we're getting close to the end, but this has been really interesting because, like I said, it's almost, especially with, for example, finances, we're not really taught it unless we are clear about what is money, how do we, all that. And same thing with love. It sounds like there's all these misconceived notions, Valentine's Day, the media. What surprised you the most about the meaning of love and the word love?
I think the thing that surprised me the most is that I wasn't taught it. I think that was the most shocking thing is that when I started out on this journey, first of all, to devote a year to something is crazy to me. Like I go out to dinner, I have a hard time committing to an entree, much less committing to a whole year of doing something. But I did. And when I did, I thought I knew. And every month, because you worked on a word a month, and every month I thought, oh, I know what this is. Love is kind. Oh my gosh, who doesn't know what kind is? Who doesn't know what this is? And so most of the time I really went into it thinking, I know, I already know. But every single time, it took me the entire month to figure out. And every single time it was so different than what I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
So yeah. And so there's these 14 reasons of love. It took me a little longer than a year, but there is this umbrella that kind of covers it all. And it is that love lets you be who you believe you're created to be. And love also lets everybody else be who they believe they're created to be. So there's no room for judgment or condemnation, no racism, nothing bad toward anybody. And there's no room for fixing people. I was the queen of unsolicited advice. I could look at somebody's life and go, it'd be so much easier if you just did this. But love would say, no, it's not up to you. You don't control them. Their life. If they want to ask you for advice, they can. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut. Like, just love them. All you have to do is love them. Everybody gets to make their own choices and decide who they're going to be, what they're going to be, how they're going to treat people. And even, well, with doctors, it's so important the way you treat people, right? So important. And people are thinking they're the only patient that day. They're not thinking about your whole day and everything else you have going on. Living in love that is patient, living in love that doesn't put labels on people and really listens and hears, not based on assumptions, but lets each individual be an individual is something to practice.
Yeah, really fantastic. Sounds like love is like spirit and like life, and it's more than what we're making out to be for time. Really fascinating discussion. Helping people follow you, contact you, have your link, your LinkedIn, social media, and also your book as well.
Yeah. So my website is kimsorrelle.com. And I'm literally the only Kim Sorrelle in the world spelled my way. Like most people can't say that. But it's because my last name's obnoxious. It has way too many letters. There are 2 R's, 2 L's, 2 E's. SORELE. So that's a little hard one to remember. But loveis.info is another way to get to my website. That's a little bit easier. Loveis.info. But I am all over social media. I love hearing from people. My book, Love Is, that came out of that journey, as well as Cry Until You Laugh, that came out of that journey, are both available on Amazon, all the booksellers. Love is in brick and mortar stores as well, Barnes and Noble and wherever. And so Love is easy to find. It's big white letters on a dark blue background. And so hopefully I think I'm pretty easy to find up there.
Yeah. And for all the listeners, audience out there, hopefully you got some good insights into what love is, the meaning of love. Really great guest, and be sure to check out Kim's resources and link to show notes. Check her out on social media as well as her book. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the show, and it's been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.